We're here today talking with Dylan Massey, a senior infielder on the UChicago baseball team. Now, Dylan, what made you decide to come to UChicago to be a student athlete?
So there were a few reasons why I chose the University of Chicago. I think first and foremost, you have to look at the academics. I knew the reputation of the university. I knew I wanted to play baseball in college, but I didn't want to play baseball at the expense of my academics. I knew the University of Chicago had a great reputation for life after college, whether it be grad school or entering the business world. So that's probably the predominant reason why I chose UChicago. Second, obviously, is that I wanted to play baseball in college, and I think there's something very unique about the University of Chicago being Division III. I know when I came here on my recruiting trip, I met a few guys who were able to study abroad during their time here, and during my junior fall, I actually went with two of my other teammates to Beijing, China. So that's another positive that you can get from University of Chicago, especially at the Division III level, whereas at the Division I level, you might have to commit yourself a little more to your sport. And then finally, I think I just wanted to, I was drawn to the appeal of the city of Chicago. I haven't met anyone that doesn't like the city of Chicago, and I didn't grow up in a small town necessarily in South Florida, but I was always drawn to a bigger city, and Chicago fit that bill.
What was your favorite player or team as a kid that really got you interested in baseball?
So from a very young age, I actually have an interesting story. I've always been an Atlanta Braves fan, and growing up, my dad's best friend's daughter was engaged to Ryan Klesko from the Atlanta Braves for a long time, so we used to spend a lot of time, when they came down to play the Florida Marlins, we would spend some time in the clubhouse, and we'd go to their house afterwards, and we haven't seen Ryan for a long time because of how the relationship turned out, but sports can have a very, very big impact on your life from an early standpoint. And I worked a few years ago at Yankee Stadium, and you could give a baseball to a kid, and sign from his favorite player, sign from any player for that matter, and that player instantly becomes his favorite baseball player. So I would definitely say the Atlanta Braves and Ryan Klesko.
You've been hitting in the leadoff spot for most of this season. Do you enjoy hitting in that spot? And what kind of mindset do you take into the batter's box as a leadoff hitter?
Yeah, so I hit leadoff in high school, and I really enjoyed the leadoff spot. So there's a few things I think that, you're only a leadoff hitter once during the game. Obviously you because you're in the leadoff spot, you see the pitcher and you get the most at-bats throughout the game. But I think going into that first at-bat, you're really just trying to see as many pitches as possible. I think at the Division III level, most of the pitchers we see have one or two good pitches and maybe a third pitch. So as a leadoff hitter, I'm really just trying to see as many of those pitches as possible, so that whether I get out or get a hit, I can come back into the dugout and kind of relay that information to my teammates. If it's a left-handed pitcher where he's trying to work the ball, if he has any tail on the ball. So I like that aspect. You also have the opportunity to start the game off really well. If you get a hit, you end up stealing second or get on second base. You have an opportunity to get the team up early in the game, and I think that's huge for momentum. And anytime your team scores first, everybody kind of relaxes a little bit and feels a little more comfortable with how the game's going.
You have 8 hits in your last 11 at-bats. What have you been doing that has contributed to your recent hot streak?
So I think earlier on in the season, I think I was just struggling, maybe forcing things a little too much at the plate. What I've done, or what I've tried to do recently, is really pay attention to my pitch selection. So I'm not taking swings at bad pitches. I'm really looking for a pitch that's in an area where I can get a hit the best. And so I think that for me personally, that's kind of a middle-in fastball. So I'm laying off some of the off-speed pitches earlier in the count, and I'll swing at it with 2 strikes or so. But I'm very much a guess hitter, and I know which areas of the plate I can hit best at. So other than that, like when you're just seeing the ball well, you're being aggressive in the count, and I think confidence goes a long way in baseball just as much as it does any sport. So I think that's what's led to my recent success there.
What are some of your favorite memories or moments from your time on the baseball team?
So probably just generally speaking, I don't love when somebody gets out, but I love when somebody comes back from that out and gets a hit or does something positive for the team. In baseball, it's a game of failure, and so you're going to be a good hitter if you're failing 7 times out of 10 at the plate. And so it's the ability for a lot of guys on our team to struggle early in a game, or take a bad hop on the field and make the next play. So I think in general, it's not so much an individual player and an individual moment. It's kind of that growing opportunity that a lot of guys from freshman year to senior year, freshman year to sophomore year, seeing the growth, especially in our younger guys, kind of go through those adverse moments and really come back and contribute positively towards the team and towards the game, are really what my favorite moments are as a player here.
What are your plans for after graduation?
So the NCAA has been telling me for a while that I'm going to go pro in something other than sports. And so, I was lucky enough to get an internship with Goldman Sachs last summer as a risk analyst, and I didn't make too many mistakes along the way, so I'll be returning there full-time in New York after graduation. I'm looking forward to it.